What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're here to talk about the new Monkey D. Luffy from the anniversary, the global anniversary. And, you know, since this character has come out, a lot of people have thrown their opinions out about this character, and while, yeah, I think that they definitely could have done a better job in designing a character that will fit more of the content that we typically get in One Piece Treasure Cruise, when you do use this character and you use him the way that they want you to use him, he is exceptional. He's a very powerful unit. The only real problem, I mean, obviously there are a couple of problems with this character. You know, there's the inherent issues with his design, but a thing that a lot of people don't think about is that, once again, it's another Luffy character, and we will inevitably receive a better Luffy character in the future at some point, and we know that there's going to be a pretty good Luffy coming out within 2023, so I don't really know how I overall feel about this character, but just from what I've used thus far, he seems pretty fun. He's a pretty cool character. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So Luffy, let's just break down all of his abilities and I'll give my thoughts and opinions as we go. He's a Psi-free spirit fighter with a superclass free spirit, which is cool. More superclass free spirits, we love to see that. His captain ability is super convoluted, and on the side of the screen I have split it up so it's a lot easier to read. But essentially, the base captain effect that you get when you start the quest, 4.75 times attack, 1.3 HP, recovery tandem are beneficial, and then also has the effect of boosting your captain effect depending on your accumulated value, and the accumulated value will increase every time you defeat an enemy and every time you pass a turn. So essentially the way that it works is that there is like a hidden value hidden on this Luffy's captain, and it starts at a base value of 0, and essentially once you defeat an enemy or pass a turn, this hidden value will start to increase. Once this value reaches certain increments, the captain ability of Luffy will change for the better. So once you reach the accumulated value of 10 to 19, the attack boost is upped from 4.75 to 5, and then also it will allow you to get 10% damage reduction and allows you to consume recovery slots with a perfect tap. So that's honestly not too bad. I wish that was his base captain effect. I think that would have been a little bit better. The accumulated value, once it receives 20 to 29, becomes a 5.25 times captain and reduces 10 turns of bind. That's huge. That's the one that you want to hit, and reaching the accumulated value of 20 isn't very difficult to do. Like in this Coliseum, for example, you know, we have to stall, I think it's 2 turns, and then when we reach stage 3, as long as we didn't stall all the rest of the way, we'll have that activated. So it's actually pretty easy to get. But then, of course, once you get down to the accumulated value of 30 or more, you will have to go out of your way in order to get that. But you get a 5.5 Rainbow Captain, and then not only do you remove 10 turns of bind, you also remove 10 turns of paralysis, which is massive, and then also 20% damage reduction as well. Like, it's a great Rainbow Captain, and I think if you're a beginner player in this game, this is going to be a good unit to start with. I mean, he's not a Super Sugo Fest exclusive, but I think that this character is going to help you clear a lot of content, because a lot of people, when they start the game, they're not going to have a lot of special cooldowns maxed anyway, so this character will allow you to, you know, stall out, get his buffed captain, and then he's much easier to use to clear content. And you'll see in this video, he synergizes so well with Goldie Roger. Yes, he can synergize with a lot of characters, but I felt that Roger was just the best partner, and I mean, yeah, you can use double Luffy, but I think he just works better when you run him in a hybrid style. The fact that you have Roger completely resisting despair, and then you could potentially have Luffy removing 10 turns of bind and paralysis, removing all of those 3 debuffs essentially completely in most content is pretty absurd. So the captain ability, while it is good, is flawed in terms of its design. Now, when you use him as a captain, you get access to the superclass. The superclass, it can be difficult to activate at times. You need an Ace, Sabo, Garp, Shanks, Makino, or a Dadan, or after 10 turns have passed. So, you know, there are multiple ways to get it, which is nice. And the effect gives you -2 cooldowns to the whole crew, and extending the duration of your chain lock and chain boosts by 2 turns. I like this. I think this is very good. You know, obviously you could use the new anniversary Ace with this Luffy. Great synergy there. And you can use the superclass to actually make Ace's chain boost last for 5 turns, which I think is very cool. So I like that there is a bit of synergy there. And if you have like a chain lock, you can just buff that as well. So there's really cool uses for this. Alternatively, you could use it in a utility sense where you can get the crew -2 cooldown, you know, if you're dealing with special reverse mechanics, for example. So it's cool. I think it's an interesting superclass. Probably not the most OP in the game, but it definitely helps the character just get additional utility, because why not? And then the special ability of this Luffy, which is very, very intriguing, removing 7 turns of not bind, but despair and attack down. So when you have this character with the max cap, you're removing bind and paralysis flat, but then you have a special that can remove despair and attack down as well, which is very cool. And I think this character will be very, very good as a crewmate on a lot of teams. Because you also get a 2.25 times orb boost for 5 turns. Now, while a 5-turn orb boost is very good, a 2.25 times orb boost, it's not the best. We can all admit that. But there are additional effects that can kind of help you out. Because when you launch the special, you also get a 1.2 chain multiplicative buff, which is good. It can stack with, you know, your chain boosts, your chain boundaries, etc., which is nice. But then he has an additional effect, which says that if you hit 2 perfects during the turn, you get a 1.35 times chain multiplicative buff in the following turn. And then, during that next turn, if you then hit 2 more perfects, then in the turn after that, you're going to get a 1.5 times chain multiplicative buff, and it increases your orb boost by 0.5. So this character is built in such a way where he's actually supposed to be built to be used over 3 separate attacking turns. You can use it on stage 3 of a fight, then you get your perfects, move on to stage 4, you have your 2.25 orb boost and a 1.3 chain multiplicative buff. Then when you reach the final stage, you will have your 2.75 times orb boost instead, and you'll receive a 1.5 chain multiplicative buff. And the fact that this chain multiplier buff will stack with the Super Tandem Ace's Super Tandem ability is also pretty strong. In terms of chain multiplier, you just get so much chain, and a lot of the time, depending on your team composition, you could just, you know, use the chain multiplier as your base damage for a turn, and that will actually be enough to kill a lot of base mobs and a lot of these relatively, you know, easier mini bosses as well. The chain multiplier is very absurd, especially when you partner the Ace and the Luffy together. But of course, the fact that this character is focused around having this buff active for such a long period of time, it means that if the enemy removes your beneficial effects, you're in a bit of a pickle. However, with Goldie Roger as a friend captain in the hybrid sense, you can negate the removal of your beneficial effects once per quest. So I really do love this synergy between Roger and Monkey D. Luffy. So that's his special, and the kit as a whole is pretty interesting, right? You move on to his super tandem. Well, it's not really a super tandem, it's a final tap. This character does have final tap, but it's a very unique final tap. The only other characters that are somewhat similar in this way are the rare recruit admirals that we got during the Super Tandem Sengoku batch, where it's a final tap that you can activate every single turn. You do have to fulfill a condition though, and the condition for Luffy is that your HP has to be above 90%. And I'm not a big fan of this, because whenever you use Luffy's superclass to give your characters superclass free spirit, it increases their statistics, meaning the HP of your free spirit characters increases. And because of that, it means that your remaining health also doesn't increase. It means that when you use the superclass to get it increased stats, you're no longer above 90% HP, which means you can't activate the final tap. So I think that this was not a very good design decision from Bandai's part. I feel like they didn't test the character before implementing this character into the game. It would make sense if he was a super type character, but the fact that he is superclass free spirit doesn't do him any favors. Despite that though, the actual final tap effect just synergizes really well with what this character aims to do, where he gives a 1.75 times chain multiplicative buff as well. Remember, this does stack on top of not only Luffy's special, but also a super tandem, potentially super tandem, from Super Tandem Ace. So this is, again, really strong. You're getting so much chain multiply here. But again, there is the condition of you having to be above 90% HP, which is not very easy to do, especially in more difficult content. And especially if you are aiming to stall to get his max captain potential, you might not actually be at that 90% threshold when you need it. In this team example here, you do see we are using Legend Marker, which allows us to overheal, which means that we essentially get the final tap every single turn. And then finally, we could talk about this character's support, which I think will actually see somewhat moderate use. The support only attaches to Ace, Sabo, and Garb, but the effect is very nice where you get a 1.5 times base attack boost to the character that you attach to when the character launches a special. And we know how useful Super Tandem Sabo has been on Monkey D. Luffy in the past, so now we have an inverse unit where now it's a Luffy that can attach to these units that can give a base attack boost. So I do like this, and as I said, I do think this is going to be a useful support moving forward into the future. As long as you're not using a Monkey D. Luffy on your team, this is going to be a really nice way to make sure your Ace or Sabo or Garb characters get increased statistics, which is never a bad thing. But overall, that is the rundown of all of Luffy's abilities, and giving my thoughts and opinions along the way. I think this is a very good character for sure, but the fact I just don't think there is a lot of content out there where this character is going to be optimal for it. And I must say that the special animation of this character is probably one of the best in the game, especially with the ink effect as well. The ink effect artwork of this character is up there, like easily top 3 best ink effects in the game. But overall, a really fun character to use in content for sure. That is going to wrap it up from me though. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this unit down below in the comment section. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.